You know, another issue that is really a part of who we are and where we build and what we do and our relationship with our environment is water.
Oh.
And we are basically groundwater, served by groundwater, correct?
Groundwater and the Colorado River and some surface waters, but groundwater contributes a major part of our water supplies across the state. And because the Colorado River is over allocated and there's drought, and long term we think the Colorado may not deliver as much water as we've had in the past, with our growth we expect to pull more and more groundwater out of our basins. And we've got a map up here, and if you look, Arizona has the big Colorado Plateau up here, the Mogollon Rim, but southern Arizona, where all the population is a whole bunch of basins and ranges, like Nevada. So basins full of loose sand and gravel, mountain ranges that have popped up. So a lot of our groundwater is coming out of these basins. Well, we've assumed for a long time that these are just like bathtubs full of loose sand, and you just stick a straw down and we'll just keep pumping water. What we're finding is it's a lot more complicated than that. There are buried mountains in those basins, there's giant faults, there's huge piles of salt, up to 7,000-foot salt piles in some of these basins. Just amazing variety and complexity in there. And so our calculation of where the water is and how much we have is based on very simplistic models that geologists did a century ago. So we're now trying to work with our sister agencies and others to figure out just what the geology in these basins look like, where is the water, and how much could we get delivered.
Right. Now, we do have an Arizona Water Resources Department,
Right.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
So are you working with that, with that agency, or are you duplicating their efforts?
One of the questions is, aren't we just duplicating what they're doing? And no, actually, they've come to us and asked us to do more of the kind of basin modeling, the basin geometry that we're doing. They need better geologic constraints to make better hydrologic models and figure out where the water is and how it's flowing. So there's really a wonderful partnership that's brewed over the last year or two that we've never had before.
When you say a basin, are you talking, and I might have missed this point, an underground basin, or is this a basin on the surface that we can see?
I start using jargon without thinking about it. We have these basins that have been filled up with sand and gravel and clays and silts over.
So to my eye, it would look like a flat surface.
It's the Tucson Basin, the Phoenix Basin. So it's the bedrock is a big valley kind of there that's been filled up with thousands of feet of sediments. And those sediments are very loose, and the water comes off the mountains, comes down the rivers, and infiltrates down in there into the aquifers. And we've always assumed that the aquifers were big blanket deposits, and they were uniform, and once you put a well into it, they would just keep pumping water. What we're finding is that they're a lot more complex, they're a lot more discontinuous, and there's a lot of places where the aquifer isn't there. There's something else there.
Like this salt deposit?
There's a pile of salt, or an intrusion of igneous rock, or part of a mountain range that's kind of a low range, and it just got buried by the rest of the basin sediments.
And before we go on, those underground aquifers are fed how? How are they replenished?
A lot of it is coming off the mountain ranges, running down into the foothills area, and they'll go into natural recharge. Also infiltration down from rivers. And large-scale movement across regional areas. And we've been talking about the basins down in this area. If you go up on the plateau, there we have more of a bedrock, and the waters may move tens, scores of miles, 100 miles. The Navajo Aquifer is one of the thickest, richest aquifers in North America, and it extends across a good part of northern Arizona and into southern Utah. And it's fed recharged from waters way up in Utah and other places, moving long distances.
Right, right.